All right. What an awesome piece of gear. I mean, if it was just the OLED monitor, I would buy one.
I thank you and our team thanks you.
Cool. So who is the target audience? Who did you design this device for?
The 7Q is designed for industry professionals. We have another model, the Odyssey 7, which costs $1,000 less, but will not support the raw recording.
So there's an Odyssey 7, not a Q.
Right.
It's $1,300.
Correct.
And you can still record.
You can still record. You can record in a compressed codec. There will be 2 compressed codecs available. They will be free with that model.
Okay.
And
what is compressed codec code for?
I can't say it.
Okay. All right. Okay.
One of them will be DNX HD, and we're not allowed to say the name of the other one.
Gotcha. We've covered that question earlier, just a hint for our friends watching at home. All right, fantastic. So even in the $1,300 version, you will be able to record in compressed codecs, but how many inputs is that 7 version?
The 7 has 2 HDSGI 3G inputs plus HDMI, and 2 HDSGI 3G outputs. The 7Q adds 2 more BNCs, which can be HDSGI 3G input or output.
So essentially, I could bring 4 SDI signals into the 7Q.
That's correct. And the 7Q has built-in quad split monitoring capabilities.
So I could monitor all 4 at once.
Right.
And when I'm monitoring all 4, could I sort of go full screen on one of them?
Yes. When you're in quad split monitoring or multi-stream monitoring, you pick whichever one you might want to see full screen. You just tap it, and it becomes full screen for you.
So what about when I've got a waveform monitor up? You know, I'm shooting one camera, but I'm doing a multi-camera shoot. So I need to see what my other guys are up to. Can I know I can monitor them, but can I also bring up a waveform on the quad?
Yeah, there's a very interesting thing that you can do. Let's say that we take 2 cameras, and we're going to get ready to do a shoot. So let's take the 2 cameras and shoot the same area.
Okay.
Okay. So it's under the same lighting, same conditions. And we'll put one in quadrant 1 and one in quadrant 2.
Okay.
So we have one on the top, the other one will be on the other side. And then we turn on the full screen waveform monitor, which will be down below them. So the first half will be in camera 1, the second half will be in camera 2.
Wow.
And I did this just the other day at Fletcher Camera in New Orleans, and we had 2 Alexa cameras.
We can't talk about other camera shops.
Yeah, I know. But we just took one and said, this one's hot, and we just adjusted and aligned the waveform monitor, and instantly we had matched cameras.
That's fantastic.
The other deal is, you know, shortly we'll have waveform monitoring, color vector scope, and you'll be able to do the same thing with color vector scope. You want to paint
2 cameras aimed at the same chip chart.
Right.
I can have a live image of both next to each other and a vector scope.
Right.
So it's like a dual input vector scope.
That's right.
That sounds like a camera engineer might
well,
get
it's
to
just
use that.
wonderful to be able to adjust one against the other, and when you see both cameras in the boxes on the vector scope, you'll know that you're good.
Fantastic. That's amazing.
And if you had a 4-camera suit, you would just check one camera against another one, and then one camera against another one, so forth. But it's a very wonderful application of our technology.
So in order to get access to these codecs, I mean, Aries got their own RAW, Canon's got their own RAW, Sony's got their own RAW. What was it like trying to negotiate with these manufacturers to put their language in your device?
Okay, it was very easy. Canon approached us and wanted us to make it a 4K capable recorder.
Okay.
And many other camera manufacturers have. And
did anybody give you a hard time?
No, nobody gave a hard time. It was a big deal for Sony to bring in a third company such as ourselves and sell a product that competes with their product.
Certainly.
And there were some differences of opinion.
Okay.
But they eventually allowed us to do it.
Okay. So I guess the biggest question that all of my clients watching the show will have is they've all pre-ordered their Odyssey 7Qs from Midtown Video, and they'd like to know, when are the 7Qs going to ship?
We expect to start shipping in October.
Fantastic. And then the $1,300 version, the Odyssey 7, when
That
does that gonna
starts
ship?
December.
Great. Well, let's open this up to some questions coming in from the internet. Let's see what they've got to say.
I don't know if you answered this, but is it MOV or MXF wrapper does it use?
Okay.
Okay, and that would apply to the DNX HD codec. The DNX HD codec will come out second, but it is a free upgrade. We'll provide a firmware update, and then you put the firmware update, and then you have the DNX HD codec. We're working first on the other codec. Now,
which will be an MOV wrapper.
right, and then DNX HD will be a MOV wrapper to start with. If we find that people are asking us to do MXF wrapper also, then we will do that. But we have decided to do an MOV wrapper first.
And what was the second question?
When will the 7 model hit the streets for sale?
That's scheduled for December.
Just in time for the holidays. So make sure to get your pre-orders in. Of course, we're accepting pre-orders. What you'll need, if you intend to record, is the Odyssey 7 at $1,300 or the Odyssey 7Q at $2,300. You'll need at least one solid-state drive. Now, tell me something special about these solid-state drives. What happens if I lose power in the middle of recording?
Well, it's funny that you ask that, because we get a lot of people that, for very good reasons, would love for us to use any SSD.
Any cheap SSD?
Well, any
No such thing.
consumer level SSD.
Okay.
And people think that we're just trying to gouge them. Our 256 gigabyte SSD costs $395, and our 512 costs $795. But what these offer you is the ability to record at very high frame rates, very high bandwidth, from when it's empty all the way till it's full without slowing down.
So we're used to hard drives kind of operating at reduced capacity when you kind of get near the full point.
And SSDs can also slow down. There's some SSDs on the market which will record at 520 megabytes per second, and then when they get half full, they go down to 100 megabytes per second.
And do your SSDs suffer the same slowdown?
No, we have special firmware in our SSDs, in the SSD itself, to prevent that from happening. But the main thing is that our SSD has built-in power protection. It is very common on set, and it was a very painful lesson for us. We expected, naively, that people wouldn't have power problems on set. You know, you've got batteries that tell you that I've got an hour left, I got 30 minutes left, I got 15 minutes left, and we were expecting people to routinely not have problems with power, and we found just the opposite. So these SSDs have built-in power protection. So if we've taken a record and send it to the SSD, okay, not half of a record, but a whole record, you can pull that SSD out, and while it has no power, it will continue to process that record and put it away perfectly.
That's pretty good. So it's a true hot swap in the middle of recording.
Well, we don't like hot swapping, but we have special code in there. So if you are recording and you pull an SSD, obviously the recording's going to stop.
Okay, fair enough.
You can put the SSD back in, and then the SSD will have finished what it was doing. All the records that it fully got, those will be processed, and then we will, on power backup of our unit, go in there and make all the adjustments and fix everything as if the recording ended normally.
So minimal data loss on power outage or on disconnection of an SSD.
Yes, and again, people think that, many people just think that SSDs are commodity items, that they all work the same.
Right.
At the level and the performance that we're doing, they don't work the same.
Okay. So Convergent Design label SSDs. have this built-in power protection and extra high data rate, and will maintain the same high data rate throughout the capacity of recording.
Right.
Mr. Keaton, thank you so much for coming to join us today. We've got one question coming in from the internet, from the audience.
Will those SSD cards be available for other purposes, not just for your units, like if we can put them into computers and that, since that sounds like it's going to be a better SSD card?
They're really good SSDs. Yes?
Great question. So Peter Evans asked, since these SSDs are so fantastic and they work so great in the Odyssey 7Q, can we buy these SSDs and utilize them for other purposes?
Yes. There's nothing that would stop us.
2.5-inch SSDs, put them in anything that accepts them. One more question coming in from the internet.
Can Bluetooth control from the iPad, and what can you control?
On the back of the Odyssey 7 is a little clear to radio frequency window. It's a plastic window where Bluetooth comes and goes. So you can use an iPad or an iPhone or an Android device, and then
Real-time wireless 4K monitoring.
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
no actual monitoring of the images, but we will send status to this Bluetooth phone or device, so you can see what mode we're in, what the time code is reporting live, any type of error messages or anything. So you get a complete status report on your Bluetooth device. But secondly, you can control the device. You can change modes. You want to go from quad split to regular mode. You want to pop up, one image of the full screen.
Start and stop recording?
Yeah, start and stop recording. It's intended to be a full functional remote control for it.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for coming and spending a little time with us. We really appreciate it, and we're so looking forward to buying these Odyssey 7Qs.
Thank you for the invitation.
Dan Keaton, Convergent Design, thank you very much.
Thank you.